Hey everybody, welcome to Inspire Your Success podcast. My name is Michael Leonard, former corporate zombie turned lifestyle entrepreneur. I'm on a mission to inspire millions of people to stop settling for average and create the life that you deserve. Each week, I'll be bringing on world-class experts, entrepreneurs, and high achievers to give you the inspiration to take massive action. I'm confident these successful people will give you the spark to create an epic life and business. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Here's your episode. Hey everybody, welcome back to Inspire Your Success. As always, appreciate you being here with me today. In today's episode, we have an awesome interview from a guy named Anthony Moore, who is a self-improvement writer and a coach and someone that is just super inspiring with the content that he produces. So if you're someone that is in a job that you really don't like, or if you're someone that just counts down the hours while you're at work and you want something else but you don't know what it is, I know Anthony's story will absolutely motivate and inspire you to take action and figure out what you want to do with your life. In his story, he talks all about traveling the world, making money from his laptop, and how he inspires hundreds of thousands of people every single month. So make sure to stay through the end. His story is incredible. He has so many great quotes in here. It's one that I would definitely recommend listening to a few times. Thanks again and enjoy the episode. All right, Anthony, thanks again for being here, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, so glad to be here, man.
It's great. So I want to kind of talk about, we in the intro obviously went over what you're doing right now, and we'll definitely get into how you're crushing it on Medium and have a lot of great content out there. But always like to dive into the background of my guests, just because I think so many people always see the after and all the success. So I think it's important to kind of see sometimes what else is going on. So could you talk a little bit about how you got started in this? I know you were in a 9-to-5 for a while, but eventually just wasn't really working out for you, right?
That is a good way to put it. Yeah, it wasn't working out for me. So I'll take you back about 4 years ago. I was working as basically a telemarketer. I was working for an online for-profit university, which, as you listeners probably know, is very controversial. I wasn't immune to that. It was my job to basically sell college to our leads. And I was making about 250, 300 calls a day. I was drinking like 6 to 8 cups of coffee a day just to stay energized on the phone. We had a terrible boss, kind of like one of those guys who was always threatening to fire you and kind of like hanging your, low sales numbers, quote unquote, over your head just so he can look good. Just really kind of a dead end job. I was doing that because I wanted to get a master's degree, and working at a university, quote unquote, would pay for that. So I was like, I can suck it up. Let's just do this. But it was really hard, just this grueling work. Just getting yelled at constantly on the phone. I mean, if anybody here listening has been in telemarketing, you know that you're calling people at 5:30 p.m. on the West Coast, which is 8:30 p.m. their time on the East Coast. They don't want to talk to you. It's like Thursday night. They've had a long day. You're trying to convince them to, buy stuff, go to school for 4 years. Not a good place. Eventually, I busted my butt. I did a lot of informational interviews, basically took out every single person I could think of in my company to coffee, to lunch, to brunch, to try and pick their brain, kind of get some connections. I was promoted to a career coach at the university. So I finally left the phones, thank God, went to our career services department and was helping adult learners all over the world and the U.S. Go to college, get their careers, figure out what to do with their life. But honestly, man, I was finishing my work like at 10:30 a.m. in the morning, working a full-time 40-hour work week. I would get in there and then I'd be done. And every day it was like, well, how do I fill in 6 hours of time now? And I would just check email every other minute because there's nothing else to do. I was just looking for basic work. Nothing was going on. It was like this great cushy job. I mean, they were paying for my master's, but I mean, after that was almost 3 years of that, of corporate America behind a desk, networking, doing the email, wearing suits to work every day. I was just so over it because all the while I wanted to be a writer. That was my biggest dream. I tried everything. Like I was trying to figure out SEO, search engine optimization. I was writing books. Nobody was reading them. I was blogging all the time. Nobody was reading me. I was trying to reach out to other networkers, podcasters, bloggers. Nobody was getting back to me. And I was just kind of stuck at this place of mediocrity where it's like, I'm surviving. I'm getting paid. I'm paying off my student loans, but I'm desperately unfulfilled. My dream is dying. I'm so bored all the time. I'm exhausted just by how little work I'm doing. That makes sense. And I
So
knew
much.
I needed to change, you know?
And what time of your life was this? Was this right after college, or how old were you?
I started there when I was 23 and left when I was like 27. So, yeah, kind of mid 20s there.
Gotcha.
Quarter
Yeah.
life crisis, that whole thing.
Absolutely. I had the same thing. I think if anyone listening knows my story, then there's a lot of similarities there. I can understand that. Seeing one email come in and you like want to respond, but you're like, wow, I'm going to look really needy and desperate.
Yeah.
So you have to, like,
Give them 30 seconds.
But save it as a draft because you don't want to send it yet. No, I hear you. And it is actually exhausting because you're unfulfilled, right? You're just basically every day you're kind of seeing like it's one more step towards your dream not coming true, and you're not doing anything. Is that kind of how you felt?
Yeah. I just felt like every day it was like, why am I still here? When am I going to change? Like, when is it finally going to be my turn? Like, when can I finally leave the golden handcuffs? And every day, like, I felt like I was just kind of sinking deeper and deeper into that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And at what point did it kind of turn into like, all right, like I can either keep doing this forever, but like I really need to change? Did you have like a turning point, or was it like a book you read, or a mentor or something? Or was it just some moment where you woke up and you're like, this is the last day I do this. Like I have to figure it out.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So there actually was like a kind of 2 or 3 day period where like everything just clicked me, where I was like, I need to change. So the first thing was I realized that I did not get this huge promotion I've been working for like 5-6 months. I was there and I was like, maybe writing is for me. Maybe I should just double down in the career and try and get promoted here. So I worked my butt off. I was doing everything I could to get this promotion, and it went to the other guy after like 6 months of trying. At the same week, I actually found medium.com. And I found an article by Benjamin Hardy. He's the top writer there, I think, really popular personal growth writer on Medium. Really cool articles. He wrote an article, and I still remember to this day. The article is called "Why Most People Won't Be Successful." And I read it, and the article was just talking about how the reason why most people won't be successful is because basically they're not willing to do the work. They're not willing to sort their life out, figure out what needs to be done, and then do it. So it was this 2-pronged thing where it's like I didn't get the promotion. That meant like I was going to be stuck again for like 2 years. I also had this smack in the face article of like, wow, am I willing to do the work to be a writer? And so my wife and I at the time had been kind of hoping and planning to just like leave our jobs. We're both fat, overweight, lazy, unhealthy. I was drinking a lot of beer, just had this like huge beer belly. We wanted to move abroad and travel the world. And that week, I remember coming home to my wife and just saying like, hey, I didn't get the job. And then we just had this conversation where it's like, you know what, like, screw this. Let's just leave, And so it was like right around that time. It was like the summer of 2016, I believe, when we looked into like getting our TEFL, teaching English as a foreign language, and looking into like actually moving abroad and starting the process to do that, which we actually ended up doing. So it was just that week of like, I didn't get the job. I read this like powerful article that this kind of showed me like how lazy I was being. And I was like, I'm like 26, 27, like I could stay here and like try and just make this work. But eventually, we're going to have kids. I'm going to get even just more in a rut here. I'm never going to go. It's now or never. So we finished with TEFL, applied everywhere, interviewed, and then got a job teaching English in Korea. And 6 months after I missed that promotion, we were out of there. I quit. So big turnaround just from that 1 week.
That is amazing. And I actually have a very similar story where I thought I got the job, and then they told me I was too green, and I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah. You're like, give me the job.
and it ended up being the best thing ever. So, I mean, do you ever think about like what life would have been if you got that job?
Man, yeah, Michael, like this like promotion, like I was hoping for it. I was praying for it. I was like, I spent literally dozens of hours in preparation for this. Like I was so focused on getting this job. And when I didn't get it, I was crushed. I was heartbroken. I was like, wow, this is just the hugest failure. Like just at the time, it felt like it was just the end of the world. But man, looking back, it's like, wow, like God had a plan, like something lined up where if I had gotten that job, like I know I'd have been so unhappy. I would have been stuck even more in that role. I wouldn't have been able to like do all the cool stuff I've done in the past 2 years, like open my own business. Like actually this month is like a year of opening up my own business. I've traveled the world with my wife. I've gone all over the place, made friends in tons of countries, lived my life. And like, I'm looking at this huge poster board in front of me of like all these like places I've traveled to. I wouldn't have done that if I was still working at my old job where I had to beg for even a few days of PTO, like let alone traveling all over the world at my leisure. So just looking back, it's just one of those, like, you have to chuckle moments where it's like, man, if I had stayed there, I would have never had done all this,
Man, that is literally so inspiring, and like why I started this podcast, to hear people getting those kind of experiences, because so many people would have taken that and just been like, well, I'll just stay here, or I'll try again. Like, and I mean, you just obviously, it's like you said, it kind of happened for you. And it's just one of those things where life's going to give you some twists and turns, and you can either say this is either for me or it's happening to me. And clearly you went out and made the most of it. And honestly, it sounds like the best thing ever. So, I mean, that's so cool. I absolutely love that. And I hope people listening can understand, like, you have to like understand like that there's opportunities, but you have to bet on yourself sometimes. It's not like they're just going to be handed to you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
oh, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is so cool. So you interview, so you don't get the job, and then you interview, like you said, for the teaching English, and you didn't know which country, right? It's just one of those where you just apply.
Right. Yeah. We were like looking all over the world,
so that's a 6-month process, you said, before you actually got the job.
Yeah. So anybody think about this really quickly, getting your TEFL, there's different lengths of certifications depending on how professional, like how intense your school is. We got a 100-hour one. That took us 3 months to finish. Then we were applying for about 3 months as well, like looking at all kinds of online job boards all over the world for teaching English jobs. Found one. So that's like 6 months. And they wanted us to start ASAP. We actually waited a few months just to like kind of get everything in order, like selling our stuff, moving out. But they offered us a job in like October 2016. We said to give us like they want us to come like next week. So I think a lot of schools are actually very quick. If you're thinking of like teaching English online, they want you to start very quickly. But we said, no, give us a few months. So in February, like 3 or 4 months later, that's when we left. So pretty quick whirlwind of opportunity. So I think if that's what you like want to do, you can expect it to be pretty quick once you get the ball rolling.
That's super cool. So what were you doing those 3 to 4 months? Were you starting to read some new books? Were you trying to do new things on Medium or your blog yet? Or what were you doing since you didn't get that job, or did you just keep going through the motions?
I kept going through the motions. I kind of just, hunkered down and thought, I'm just going to like survive here doing my job while spending every other minute of my spare time, like getting ready for this, like studying for my certification, applying for jobs, making connections, like researching. At the time, my writing took a step on the back burner. It wasn't until I moved to Korea, which I'm sure we'll talk about soon, that my writing exploded. Big change of environment creates a huge change in your perspective, your production and whatnot. So those few months, I just, I really believe in like just taking on one thing at a time, and I saw that I was trying to have like this like fun like craft beer podcast. Wasn't really going anywhere. I was trying to maintain my job. I was also going to school for my master's, and I kind of just hunkered down and said, what's most important right now? And I said to stay in school to finish my degree. I was almost done, and to get my ducks in a row for moving abroad. So I kind of just stopped doing lots of like external stuff, like hanging out with friends and like going out all the time and like traveling. I said, I'm going to focus. I need to make sure that like Korea is going to work out. And like, because we actually going to South Korea, that is when I just hunkered down, focused on one thing, and kind of did that well. And a few months later, things worked out.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, what I love is that you were doing stuff. Like, I think so many people want this life. They want to lose the weight. They want to start the business. They want all this stuff, but they're not like, they're just in this paralysis analysis. They're just not taking anything. Like, yeah, you started a podcast and it didn't work out, but at least you tried, right? It's like you have to like get the habit of trying new things, because if 8 out of 10 people are as miserable as every study says at their job, then they can't just sit there and expect, someone to come save them, right? You got to go out there and do it. So that's so cool that you did that. And then, I mean, all of a sudden your life's upside down, basically, in a great way. You're in halfway around the world. So you're in South Korea.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, tell us about that. I mean, this is really cool.
Yeah. So my wife and I moved to a little city called Ulsan. It's at the bottom end of the country. The main capital, Seoul, is at the top. We at the very, very bottom. I was the only white guy in the whole city. It seemed like, it was just me and my wife there. Teaching was great. We had a great time, and that's really when everything else in my life took this like huge upward growth in terms of my like writing, my marriage, my health. Um, See, changing your environment, and I know that you've talked about this before on the podcast, Mike. Changing your environment really changes everything else around you, and like it makes behavior change and creating new habits and like setting in actions. It makes all those so much easier because back in America, I mean, man, I was working full time. I had like an hour commute each way. I was in full time grad school, and like off days, I was going out to like breweries and bars with like friends, staying up late, waking up early. Didn't really have a lot of spare time to do like the work for my side hustle, like writing. But Korea came, and it's like, well, our schedule is we can teach English during the day from like 9 to 5, and then come home and watch TV, And so there was so much more time. So I was able to like wake up early. Like that's when I was actually consistently started to wake up at 5 a.m. every single day to write, because I knew that, hey, if I don't make writing work in the next 12 months, I'm going to have to go back to my old terrible job. I better make this work now. So that environment helped, where it's like there was nothing else to do. I saw the future of like what was going to happen if I didn't work, kind of like that, like pain avoidance motivation. And so I just started cranking out my writing. I started playing basketball like 3 to 4 times a week. I was just eating basically a combination of meat, vegetables, rice, and water every single day, all day. Like no more beer, no more drinking, no more junk food, no more like McDonald's. It was just healthy foods all the time. So changing my environment really helped see progress in like every other area of my life. So for those next 12 months, I was just able to like build up my discipline, my momentum, my restraints of like wanting to like go out all the time. I put in the work. And yeah, we can talk about the process in a minute, but after just being in this really great, conducive environment for my success, I kind of bought into it, did the action, did the work, and came out with a full-time business that's still alive today.
So much great stuff there. I want to dive into a lot more of it. And I guess the one thing I forgot to ask was this you left your job, or you quit your job, or was this like, hey, I'm going to go do this for 6 months, or like how long was it all? Or were you finally like, hey, I'm actually done?
No, I was done. I said like, I'm quitting, goodbye forever. See everyone else later, and yeah, so I like knew that like this was it, and my like mom and my grandpa were like, "Are you sure? Like this is like a good job?" Kind of like that voice of like traditional reason, like, "Hey, don't leave a good thing. It's like a full-time 9 to 5 salary benefits. Like, why would you leave that?" Which I think so many people just like want like that's the American dream. Like that's what everyone is going for. This like job security, quote unquote. Versus this other option of like traveling the world, like maybe not having a job when I come back, maybe making my own business, like maybe running out of money, like maybe, getting some kind of crazy experience like overseas. Like, but I wanted that instead of the classic traditional 9 to 5. So I was kind of taking this like big leap of faith where it's like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that I need to do this. Otherwise I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life.
Oh, so powerful. Do not want that regret. I love that. Mm-hmm. We're I'm glad you mentioned it too about your mom and I think you said grandparents talking about that too. So I think when you do leave that traditional world, a lot of people, I know my parents were the same way, family, most of my friends were like, this doesn't work. You can't make money like this. And like you instantly hear it. Did you feel any like doubt or have any regret, I guess, when you quit, or were you just like, you know what, I can do this. Like, I don't really care about the opinion of others at this point.
Yeah, I mean, good question. I definitely felt that pressure, and I had bought into it for a long time. And it actually reminds me of a quote by Grant Cardone. He wrote the book, The 10 Times Rule. And basically he says that most people think in terms of like, I need to do what my friends / colleagues / family / coworkers are doing, instead of thinking like, I need to do what's good for me. So I think a lot of people are in that process of like, well, what my coworkers doing? Like they're climbing the corporate ladder. What's my parents think? Like they've like worked at the same job for 40 years. Like what does my grandpa think? Like he worked in like a, World War II factory. He's like, what do they know about me? And what do I want to do? and how much power am I giving them and society and traditions and norms versus what do like I want to do personally? Like, could I start a great podcast? Could I travel the world? Could I be a novelist? Could I be a fan fiction writer? Like whatever. Most people don't think in terms of that, which again is I think why most people won't be successful. They're not clear on that. They're not willing to do the work. It takes guts to do that when your friends and family are like, hey, I hope this works out. I hope you don't totally fail, you know? So for me, I just like left the job. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I just felt so free knowing that like, hey, like I'm going to Korea, like I'm checking off this like huge bucket list. So that means whatever happens, at least I'll have this, you know? Whereas before, it was like the past 5 years in corporate America. It's like, man, I don't really have anything from this. I just have like a longer resume, but I don't have any like good memories of like the telemarketing or like long commutes, like bad bosses. At least in Korea, like I could have control over that. I know that I was doing the deepest, most important things for me, which I think leads to inspiration and clarity and focus and passion is by doing those things. So taking that risk is actually what shows you the direction to go versus like just doing the same old thing at your job, not really knowing, is it worth it? Where am I going with this? Is this right for me? You're kind of stuck in like that like mediocre majority versus actually doing what you want to do and not really listening to the society's norms for like what you should do, you know?
That is so cool. I love that. I love Grant Cardone on that. And I think to anyone listening, like ask yourself, is anyone else running your life and you don't even realize it? Like, are you still trying to impress coworkers or your friends or your mom or your dad or your aunt or uncle? Like at the end of the day, you have to live your own life. You can't let others, keep going just because they think differently. So I love that you said that. And like you said, you had adventure. You had like that zest of life. That's what I felt when I quit. Was like, oh my God, I can like make these memories. I can make these experiences. It's no longer, I'm just a robot. I'm a zombie every day. Like, is that how you felt?
Yeah.
You finally get to break that, right? It's just like the most rewarding thing. And if people are out there and they've, been in a job 5, 6, 10 years, it's like easy to think this is how it's supposed to be, but it's not. Like your life is supposed to be an adventure that you create. And usually when you follow your passion, as you've shown, that's how you actually make great money and do what you love. So this is just exciting stuff, man. I love that.
Yeah. I was reading a book called The Power of Full Engagement. I think it's by Tony Schwartz. And he was saying that you can become exhausted both by putting in a ton of work, like a 3-hour workout session, and putting in no work at all, like living a couch potato lifestyle. Both can exhaust you. And I think for me and lots of my coworkers, at least, and maybe for you listeners who are listening right now, you can probably relate to like that, like just couch potato exhaustion, just going to your like desk job, just putting in the minimum hours to like not get fired, which is what I was doing a lot of times. That can be so exhausting. And then you like come home, you're like, wow, I didn't do anything today. I checked email, but I'm so tired. And then of course, what do? You like have a beer, you watch Netflix, you do more couch potato stuff. Whereas the opposite, like taking this like crazy risk, which of course you have to like really kind of consider and research, but taking this like huge step towards your goal, like moving abroad, starting a business, quitting your job, whatever it is, that will kind of make things much more clear, much more focused and like real because there are real stakes now. So by doing that, I was able to just gain huge perspective on what I wanted and like just look back and see actually how much I truly dislike being that square peg in a round hole at my desk job. I mean, God knows how long I would have stayed there if I had never left. But since I committed, I made the move, I like made it happen, and I like took action by like researching, studying, getting my certificate to teach abroad. Once I did that, that is when I gained this like huge clarity and like focus on like what I want to do, and I've kind of been on that path ever since.
So cool. And I think so many people are going to relate to that because, I mean, you read the studies of average of 4 hours a day on TV. And I mean, you described my life, by the way. It was literally work out, go to work, and then come home and watch Netflix with a couple of beers every day, pretty much. So I hear you there. And I know a lot of other people do. So when you actually go to Korea, you have a great change of environment. And I want to dial in on that because I had a podcast. I think my last episode was actually just about, one of my last ones was just about environment and how that can really create change. So can you talk a little bit about like how some of the things you mentioned, you were getting up at 5 a.m. and you were just had some more clarity. Can you talk about maybe some of those habits that you adopted over there that have stayed with you and really set you up for success?
Yeah, absolutely. So back in America, I had a lot of bad habits. I was drinking a lot of coffee every day, because I was working telemarketing. I was desk job, it's very easy to drink a lot of coffee every day. I was drinking a lot of beers when I came home to kind of calm down, and like come down from that, like 2 or 3 beers. I was unhealthy. I was overweight. I was trying to exercise, but I was just really stuck in this like kind of fat, unhealthy, lazy lifestyle. I was waking up at the last possible second, kind of grumbling as I'm getting out of bed, driving to work, kind of mad and resentful, coming back late, wasn't productive. All the things that, like quote unquote successful people do, like budgeting well and like spending your time well and waking up early and like exercising consistently, eating healthy. I wasn't doing any of those things. And once I came to Korea, it's like every single box was like flipped. And I was doing very well in all of those areas. And it's because I changed my environment. So back in America, it's like, what do you do with your coworkers? I mean, Friday night, you go out for, greasy appetizers, complain about your boss, drink a lot, stay up late. That inevitably leads you to waking up late, not really sleeping well, which means like don't want to exercise. It's like one small thing can just have such a huge butterfly effect going on. So I was stuck in that. Once I got to Korea, I had a huge environment change, which, by the way, you don't have to move overseas to have this type of environment change. You'll get that if you do move overseas pretty much, but you don't have to, go to Korea to like have these changes yourself. But once I was there, no more coworkers to like go out with and, just drink and like complain about our bosses all the time. Didn't really have any good beer over there in Korea, frankly. So I stopped drinking pretty much because I wanted good craft beer, couldn't find it. So it's like, okay, I guess I'm not going to drink beer then. There wasn't really much to do. Not a lot of going out all the time with like friends, like bars and breweries and like parties. It's like it's just me, my job. So what can I do in my free time? I can read a lot of books. I can write. I can exercise. I can go have fun doing these things. Also, what really helped me out was just knowing what I was fighting for. I think back at my desk job, I didn't know what was going to happen. It's like, maybe I could be here for 6 months. Maybe it could be 5 years. I'm trying to be a writer. Don't know what that means. I'm going to maybe just keep blogging and that's it. But once I got to Korea, I realized, hey, I don't have any exit strategy for Korea. I don't have any job then. That means if I don't make writing work now, it's probably never going to happen. So that kind of fire under my butt really motivated me to wake up early and like imagining what I could do with my life, because my wife and I's biggest dream was to travel the world, eat all the food like all over the place. And we were getting that. Like we were actually, kind of getting a taste of our dream. We like took action to get there. That gave us clarity of like, hey, we definitely want to keep doing this. We like want to travel the world, go all over the place. What do we need to do to make that happen? And I was like, well, I need to have a writing business. And so I was like, well, what does that mean? I said, I have to have views and followers and like learn how to make income. I have to have like a good network. And it's like, how do I do that? Well, I have to wake up at 5 a.m. to do that because I'm busy during the day for teaching, and I'm writing at night. So I would just wake up early. I would read books. I would learn how to have a business plan. Like I was just consuming tons of business books, writing books, because again, I was healthy. I was able to wake up early without feeling like crap because I wasn't drinking as much. I was eating healthier. I was exercising, which everything, kind of like adds into itself. So I was doing that. I was learning about business and like what to do because I knew what I was fighting for. I think a funny story I like saying is that 1 week off, my wife and I traveled to Japan because it's just like right over the water over there. We went to Tokyo. We went to the famous Tsukiji fish market, which is like Tokyo's biggest fish market. And I had a couple slices of taro, which is raw fatty tuna belly. It's like $5 for like a small like half ounce of it basically. And Mike, it was the most amazing food I've ever had in my entire life. Like, I mean, I could have like pounds and pounds of this. And I was like, I want to come back to Tokyo. I want to come back to Tsukiji Fish Market, and I want to have as much taro as I can possibly eat. What do I need to do to like make that happen? Like that was just so motivating for me. And I actually have a picture right in front of me, like right now, of the fish market as a constant reminder of that. See, back at my desk job, I had no idea what I was fighting for. Once I moved to Korea, changed my environment, saw what I was missing out on, I said, what do I need to do to get there? And that also reminds me of a quote by Tim Grover. He wrote this book called Relentless. He was Michael Jordan's personal trainer, also trained Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, like championship level athletes. He said in his book, he's like, people are always asking me, what's your secret? Like, how do you get these like crazy results? And he's like, there is no secret. You look at where you are, point A, and where you want to go, which is point B. And he's like, and then just go there. So I saw point B for me, which is like having a life where I can go to like Tokyo all the time, have as much taro as I want. What do I need to do to get there? And it's like, wake up at 5 a.m., no problem. Write all the time, no problem. Like read books, great. I'll do whatever it takes to get this thing that will like deeply fulfill me for my like passion, my like career, traveling, like my like kind of bucket list, so to speak. So I didn't know any of that working in my like old desk job. It wasn't until I started taking action, taking steps to move away from that and like get on the path that I wanted to go on, like starting my own business. That's when I saw a lot of clarity and focus on like, hey, here's what I like want to do. And once I saw that, all of like the work, the discipline, like waking up early, eating healthy, that came so much easier because I knew what I was fighting for, you know?
Absolutely. And I love that Tim Grover quote. I actually got to meet him last year at an event.
Oh,
and
jealous.
That
awesome.
Guy is relentless. He is the man. Definitely want him on the podcast as well. If you guys don't know him, make sure you take a look. I'll link to his book.
Great book.
Because his book is great. And really any of his conversations are great too. So awesome, man. Well, that's so cool. So you're at there. How long were you ended up being in Korea then?
We were gone for a total of like 16 months. We were there in like Korea for 12 months and travel before and after, which is, you know, kind of cool bonuses, like side effects.
Is it a contract then that you have?
Yeah. So those places have like 6 to 9 to 12 months contracts. So if you're thinking of that, like they usually want you there for a year because they're kind of investing in you. They usually pay for your flight, your boarding, lots of other cool bonuses, which they like paid for us as well. So my wife and I were like making half as much of our income as we were in like America over there in like Korea, but we were saving twice as much money because we like weren't paying for like our apartment, like a ton of like beer and like gasoline for like our cars, like insurance. So we were making half as much, but saving twice as much as we were before, just by moving overseas. So
that's
would recommend if possible.
So how did you make the transition back to the United States then?
So we came back in May, just like less than a year ago. And by then I had my full-time writing business up and running. I had my online courses, some coaching packages. I was making money directly through my articles. I was getting featured in like magazines and journals. I just signed my first book deal. So things were working. And going back to America, you realize, Mike, just how expensive everything is. You know, I mean, man, like I was able to like eat like a king in Thailand. Like I'd have like this like whole like rack of ribs, like 2 margaritas for like $7, and like the beaches on the Philippines or like America, it's like, you know, that'll get you like a burger and fries. So it's expensive here, especially here in Los Angeles. But we slowly transitioned in, and like just as all businesses go, like I was slowly building it up. And just in the past 9 months, like I've slowly like just released more products, more coaching packages. I've raised my prices more. I'm learning more things, like meeting more people. Once I like got back, like I kind of saw the bills coming in, and just that kind of added fuel to my fire of motivation. Like I have to make this work now. I have to keep going because like we're actually kind of playing with like real money here. You know, like we like have rent money, which we didn't have in Korea. So just kind of slowly came back, and I just figured out like after I was in Korea, I knew how important my environment was. And so I said, where can we go where we can check off all the boxes of like having this like really strong environment where I'm not going to get distracted. I'm not going to, you know, just like just be in like this crazy whirlwind of like, you know, activity and everything. So we like actually just moved here to Los Angeles, which is ironically a very crazy active place. But I work from home. I am just slowly focusing on building up my business in a quiet space. I don't have any coworkers running around. You know, it's just me and my kind of action plan right now.
Okay, cool. I didn't realize you built a lot of your business then while you were overseas. That's awesome, and just shows that you can literally make money and make an impact from your laptop wherever you are. Like people just get in this like habit of like thinking you have to go to a 9 to 5. And I used to think that too. And then after reading, you know, 1,000 articles on business while I was bored at work, hearing about all these people making money, I'm like, why am I not doing this? Are they that much smarter than me? And so that's super cool to know. And also you did choose to move to LA, so it is going to be expensive because you get some.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes, it is.
But definitely a great spot. So man, that is really, really cool. So going on to Medium a little bit more, I think that is one of the ways that I've made some money, and that also you can really just make some great impact, meet some people, and help a lot of people. So can you talk a little bit more about like what you've done on Medium, what kind of topics you write about, and how people can actually make money from writing on Medium, not specifically just with Medium, but courses and coaching as well?
Right. Yeah. So absolutely. So for those of you listeners who don't know what Medium is, medium.com is a huge writing hub. There's also an app. basically just about anybody can sign up for free and start posting about basically anything. And you can get a following very quickly. They have, I think, upwards of 80 million monthly users every single month, and they're continually growing. If you pay $5 a month, I sound like a Medium salesman right now. If you pay $5 a month, you become a Medium member, which allows you to post articles that can earn you money. Basically, the more likes, like they have a system called claps. The more likes / claps you have on each of your post articles, the more money you get. So really, really cool opportunity for writers, bloggers out there, creatives. You can write about any kind of topic imaginable, like technology, coding, politics, personal growth, fitness. It's all on there. I focus on mainly two topics, personal growth and writing. I write about writing maybe 20% of the time, but my main crux is personal growth. I've read dozens of books, like Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, David Schwartz, Grant Cardone, all of these guys, lots of autobiographies, like Tina Fey, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bryan Cranston. I love studying very successful people and seeing how we can model that in our lives. And Darren Hardy, he wrote The Compound Effect. He was also the former editor of Success Magazine. One of my favorite quotes by him is he was saying, basically, if you want world-class success, or if you want to go world-class in your endeavors, then the answer is simple. Just copy world-class routines. What do world-class performers do? Focus on that, and how can you model that in your life? So I found great success on Medium. If you're a personal growth writer, I definitely recommend it there. I was able to build a business there. Basically, in 12 months, I went from zeros across the board to averaging about 200,000 views a month. I've gotten about 30,000 followers in the past 12 to 18 months. I've also had another 30,000 email subscribers, which are even more important, just through Medium. I'm making, thousands of dollars a month in a passive income. I just hit $5,000 last month, which is my biggest month so far, just from passive income from Medium and just my platform there. And I actually have a writing course, which Mike, I know that you know about. It's called Wealthy Writers. And in the course, I talk about the 5 main income streams you can make through Medium and kind of as a writer. And they are using Amazon affiliate links, linking to products in your content, and people buying them, you get a small cut of that. Amazon affiliate links, book sales. If you have a self-published book, it's so easy nowadays to just publish your own book through KDP, which is a Kindle Direct partnership, Kindle Direct printing, CreateSpace. Yeah, about publishing. Yeah, thank you. So you can sell your books. Next is, like we said, writing paid posts on Medium. I know lots of friends on Medium who are making hundreds and literally thousands of dollars every single month directly from their content. How many other places online can you write as a newbie and get that kind of money very quickly from the content you want to write without fighting with editors or magazine publishers? So Amazon links, book sales, paid posts on Medium, and then the 2 big ones are coaching packages, basically selling solutions to problems, getting people from point A to point B. And then online courses as well, which you can sell. Online courses can be upwards of $500 to $5,000. So those 5 income streams I've been very successful with those, and a lot of my students in my writing courses have been as well. And you definitely don't need to do as much as you think. If you're listening to this, you're like, man, I couldn't make an online course. I couldn't do coaching. I created a coaching package that took me 3 weeks to make. And my first month, I had $1,500 just from this random, my first ever attempt at a coaching package price tag. So that works out. So I think those 5 income streams are very good for beginning writers, creatives, and bloggers online.
Well, congrats too on the passive income there. I think that's really cool that you've been able to get that. And then, like you said, there's just so much potential with it. And then you are helping people. As you mentioned, I have taken the course. It's really, really great stuff. I'll link to it down in the show notes. So you guys can learn more if you want to learn how to crush it on Medium. I really, really liked it. And it's just so cool that you have been able to do so much from this platform that you mentioned is free or $5 a month. And it's just, again, showing the opportunity that is available out there. People just hopefully are listening and be like, wow, there is so much potential in so many different arenas. It's not just with writing, but there is a ton with writing. So that is cool. And one thing before we get kind of to the end here is you do write a lot of great content. I was just reading some of your articles this morning and I was motivated myself, and I love it. It does remind me of Benjamin as well. He's I've also enrolled in his courses and had him as a mentor. And I love this kind of content because one article can just give you that little jolt and that little shift to really kick ass that day, or just kind of just take a little bit more action. And I'll make sure to link to that as well. But I really love these articles. And you talk a lot about success. You mentioned reading about successful people, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, all these people. Can you name off maybe a few habits that you think people can really take to their life right now that you've seen kind of universal in terms of people that are doing very well?
Yeah. So I've been reading a lot of autobiographies recently and kind of studying a lot of interviews with, top performers in all kinds of fields like athletes, politics, entrepreneurs, actors, whatever. And a lot of them, actually a great book I'd recommend is on Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss. It's basically like maybe even over 100 interviews that Tim Ferriss had with like the world's top performers, like in their field, like authors, actors, politicians, athletes, writers, whoever it is. And after reading all of these interviews, like reading autobiographies, like reading success books, one of the most powerful habits I've picked up on that all of these top performers seem to be doing is just doing forward, which is small progress every day. It's like this like mantra I've started to live by: small progress every day. Because what you're learning is like behavior and like your habits aren't nearly as logical as they are emotional. So the logical thing is to print out like a 16-week plan for like dieting and like having this like 90-day plan for like budgeting, all of these things. Frankly, that doesn't work for a lot of people. What does work is having a system where you can just do a little bit of progress every single day. That's how you can do huge things like writing your novel, creating a huge online course, developing a podcast. These like big things that most people don't think they could possibly do. I mean, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, just by doing small progress every day, like just writing another chapter, reading just another few pages, just doing a few more push-ups, jogging another mile, eating another chicken breast, whatever it is, just like small progress every day. And that adds up very, very quickly. My Wealthy Writers course, I sell it for upwards of $1,000 right now. And there's like 50 videos in there, like a ton of PDFs, like matching coaching packages, like a ton of like online background stuff. Before I started all that, I was like, man, how can I possibly ever do that? And I just did a little bit of work every single day, and I finished it in like 2 months. And like it's like over a year later, I've made thousands and thousands of dollars from that just by doing small progress every day for 2 months. That's it. Most people think I have to like write it all now. How can I possibly keep going? The world's most successful people are really, really good at the kind of like repetitive, tedious, boring little work every single day. That's how they become champions and winners in their field. So just doing a little bit every day. And I think most people think like they're going to fail. Like starting a business is like so hard. Like writing a book is like so hard. Like how can you possibly be a successful? And I want to share with you a quick quote from this book called The Pocket Guide to Action by Kyle Eschenroder. And really kind of great like book on just like action, like taking action steps. He says that the failure rate in any given field is in general. And he says, you may have a knack that sets you apart. You may have resources others don't have. You may be putting in more effort than 90% of the others. So you can choose to work as hard as you want. You might have a lot of resources and like innate talents and skills and like just the right environment to be amazing at this one thing, while most people don't have that. You never know if you don't try. And the best way to start is just doing a little bit today, every day. So I think that's just the most powerful lesson I've learned from all these books I've read, all these autobiographies, interviews. The world's most successful people took a long time to get there, and they just did it by just kind of focusing on what can I do with excellence today, every single day,
So true. I love that so much. Thank you again for sharing that. And hopefully people can understand too. Like you said, it's the monotonous task sometimes of just doing the same thing over and over that eventually will create huge results in anything that you're doing. So thank you again for that. Before I ask my last question, what is the best place or best places for everyone to connect with you?
Great question. You can all find me on Medium. That's where I write all of my content. So if you just go to medium.com/Anthony_Moore, that's where I'm there. Anthony Moore. Can't miss it there. That's where you can find all my content and kind of get onto any reading lists and courses and coaching and whatnot. But medium.com/Anthony_Moore.
Awesome. Well, I will make sure to link to all the resources we have talked about as well. So perfect. For my last question, I guess kind of stole it from the one before. You talked about obviously small progress, but what is something that you think people can do to speed up their success in their business or life starting today?
Good question. Speed up their success in life and business starting today. There's a great quote by Jim Rohn. He's a great motivational speaker and best-selling author. He says that success isn't magical or mysterious. Success is consistently applying the basic fundamentals. So whatever success you want with your business, your health, your relationships, your finances, it starts with just doing a little bit of stuff today. And just by doing that, you get the ball rolling. And for just doing a little bit of work today, just know that thousands and thousands of other people didn't do the work today. So if you're trying to get ahead of your competition, like if you're trying to enter the top 5% of your field, just know that by doing a little bit of work today, and like that's it, is more than most of your competition has done because they're not as willing as you possibly to do the work. Your greatest superpower is your work ethic. You can work as hard and as long as you want. So I would say that just your next step isn't going to be flashy. It's not going to be this like breakthrough trend of this like new strategy. It's just doing this small work every single day because frankly, most people won't do that. So if you're a writer, write 500 words. If you want to be healthier, just jog 1 mile. If you like want to be more informed, read 1 chapter of a book, get that started and then commit to doing that again tomorrow and consistently every single day. Because if you can do it every single day, you'll be enormously successful. Just do a little bit of work today, right now, stuff that you can absolutely totally commit to. And that's all you have to do. And then just do that every single day. And after 2 months, you might have a huge online course. You might have like written a book. You might have lost 30 pounds. You never know what's going to happen with that momentum, which starts by doing a little bit of the right work today.
Such great advice and a very, very powerful interview. So just want to extend my gratitude and say thank you again for being on the show, man. That was awesome. And I wish you continued success with Medium and anything else, because I know you will crush it.
Thank you so much, Mike. It was great being here.
All right, man. Have a great rest of the day.
Thanks. You too.
Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that episode. I had a blast recording it. Anthony has an unbelievable story, very motivating, very inspiring. And again, it just shows you what is possible when you take some risk and you bet on yourself. So if you're one of those people that is in a 9-to-5 and you're feeling stuck and you feel like there's more to life out there, remember that you just have to start taking little bits of action and start trying new things and get some clarity on what you want. And again, at the end of the day, you have to take some risk. And like he showed when he took the risk and moved and quit his job, then he came back and now he has an awesome writing business and he's just living a life that he created. So I hope this is inspiring to you because, again, you can do the same in your life by monetizing your passions and helping impact the world. So thank you again for being here. I have a ton of resources from today's show that I want to mention again. So if you want to learn more about Anthony, make sure to check out the show notes where we'll talk about some of those books like Tim Grover's and Tools of Titans, learn more about his course, and then all the other resources that we mentioned. Again, there's so much great stuff. I really recommend you doing this a few times. And if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like there's more to life out there, I can assure you there 100% is, but it's up to you to start taking consistent action and figure out what you want so you can create a life that you absolutely love living. Thanks again for being here. As always, I really appreciate your time, and I hope you have an epic day. Thanks for listening to Inspire Your Success podcast with Michael Leonard. If you like this show and want to learn more, check out inspireyoursuccess.com/podcast. Also, please leave us a review on iTunes to let us know how we're doing. Join us next week for more tips and tools to help you create the life you deserve.